Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm joined by a very special guest. I'm joined by Robbie Lyle, who a lot of you will know him from Aftv or DR Sports. And it's a real honour to have you on today, Robbie, because I've really loved your stuff for years and you even inspired me to make my own channel as well. So I'm just really honoured to have you on. But first of all, how are you? Have you recovered from not winning the league?
You know what? Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. You know what?
Yeah.
I woke up this morning. I thought like yesterday. After the game, obviously I speak to a
Yeah.
lot of fans and that, so it's almost like a bit like therapy. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
everybody's feeling like how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Which is a bit sort of devastated that we didn't manage to get over the line. So I didn't feel too bad yesterday, but I think when I woke up this morning, and
Yeah.
then you've got the sort of realization, you know what I mean, like, having a fan that's like you've been to every game and you've seen how well this team has played this season and how brilliantly the manager has done, and we still didn't win. It still wasn't enough. It's hard to comprehend, you know what I mean? Because there's not a lot more Mikel Arteta could have done this season. We were brilliant. We were brilliant
Yeah.
away from home in particular. So it's really hard that we're not lifting the ultimate prize after such a great season. But to get ahead of Pep Guardiola, and we were just discussing it in the office here, you've got to be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge.
Yeah, it does feel really tough that we got so close. I mean, yesterday when West Ham scored, I did have a bit of hope in me, but I kind of felt silly because we all knew Man City were going to come back and win it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough, but I do agree. I think Man City have set this really high standard that we've obviously got to beat, and it's so tough. But do you think next season as well would definitely? I think we can win it next season. I know the players will want to use that as motivation as well. So, yeah, it does feel tough, doesn't it? I mean, this morning I woke up, like you said, I did feel a bit worse about it. Last night I was okay because I kind of prepared myself for us to come
Yeah.
second, but it did feel a lot worse this morning. So, yeah, fingers crossed next season we can do it. And I did want to actually, before we talk a bit about AFTV, I did want to actually ask you a bit about your journey becoming an Arsenal fan. I just love to know like your memories growing up, your favourite player, and that sort of thing.
Well, my favourite players growing up were, first of all, Ian Wright was my favourite
Yeah.
player. I used to absolutely adore him, love him as a player. Still love him now, is what with all that he's achieved, you know.
Yeah.
And then, Thierry Henry I used to love as well, he was my favourite player. I've been watching Arsenal since the late 80s, so this club really, like me and all my brothers, we've always been Arsenal fans from day one. And I was a season ticket holder at Highbury, and I can remember us winning titles and stuff like that. This is why it's so hard, not winning that one yesterday, because we
Yeah.
haven't actually won one yet at the Emirates. So yeah, just being an Arsenal fan, listen, I wouldn't support any other club. I think this is a
Yeah.
great football club, in a great city with a great history that, I'm proud to support.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I've actually never seen Arsenal win the league, so I'd really thought this season I could actually
Yeah,
see that. It's tough. Yeah, I
that's
would
what
have
that's
loved. Yeah.
yeah, sorry to cut into you there. That's one of the things that I really wanted to see, was Arsenal win it for our younger fans, because older
Mhm.
fans like myself, we have, I've seen us win the league, but I know for young fans like yourself, my daughter as well, is a big Arsenal fan. They've never seen us win the league, and it would have been special. It would have
Yeah.
been really special.
Yeah, it is tough because we've gotten close so many times, and I thought this season we'd finally see it. But
Mm.
yeah, I hope next season, as us young fans, we will see us win the league because yeah, it is hard. I mean, I know we've not won a lot of things recently in the last season or two, but I do think next season will definitely be that season. So yeah, fingers crossed. But I do love
Mm.
that about your Arsenal journey. I mean, Ian Wright is also my favourite player. I think he's amazing. I think I just love players that really value Arsenal and that really enjoy the
Yeah.
football. I quite like Rocky Rocastle as well. I mean, I know he won't go
Oh,
down as our best ever player, but I feel like his love for Arsenal is one of the reasons why I love him so much.
yeah. Well, Ian Wright always cites
Mm.
David Rocastle was one of the guys who taught him about the real
Yeah.
values at Arsenal. You know what I mean? And he was a very special player who, you know, I still remember now when he passed away, the shock of that news, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he was a great player for Arsenal. And, you know, I love the fact that, you know, he's still remembered by the fans to this day. And it's not just because, you know, simply because he passed away. He was a great player. He was a great player
Yeah.
who really knew what it meant to wear that Arsenal shirt. So he kind of embodies what it
Yeah.
is when you're wearing that shirt. Do you know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
the shirt means a lot. So, yeah, Rocky Rocastle was a real hero at Arsenal.
Yeah, I think for me, like that's one of the reasons why I love him. And I started to put an Arsenal around 2015-16, and you know what, we went downhill from there. So I feel like that's probably why I appreciate him so much, because he loved playing for the badge, and we obviously went through a difficult patch there. But yeah, I think Rocky is definitely, I think when you mention Rocky to a lot of fans, even rival fans, they still have so much love for him. So yeah, we're quite lucky to have had so many incredible players over the years. And as I mentioned before about Aftv, I mean, I think it's great what you've done, because for me, like growing up, you know, when you'd watch maybe a Sky Sports or whatever was on, there wasn't, even when there was pundits on the Arsenal side, it never felt like it was you know, they were on our side, if that makes sense. But when you watch AFTV, the fans are speaking from the heart, and everyone has so many different opinions from the game we've watched, and I think that's so incredible about it. And I know YouTube now has, you know, grown a lot. You know, there's so many content creators out there now. But for you, what inspired you to think, you know what, I'm going to make my own channel?
Yeah, you know, a lot of what you just said, in that
Yeah.
I used to watch a lot of TV as well, and I used to get very frustrated that not necessarily that I thought the pundits weren't on our side, because I know they have to be,
Yeah.
even when they are an Arsenal fan, they have to be neutral and stuff like that. But I just used to feel that sometimes I used to listen to some pundits talking about Arsenal, and I'm like, you've clearly not been to a game, or you've clearly not, you know, you don't really know what you're talking about. And yeah, you're an expert, or yeah, you may have played football, or you may even have played for Arsenal, but when was the last time you actually went to a game at Arsenal? Because we have to remember sometimes that footballer is somebody's job. You know what I mean? They love doing what they're doing. They love playing football. But when they finish playing football, there's a lot of footballers that, you know, do other things with their time. They're not going to be necessarily at a game every week. You know, you may have played for Arsenal. Arsenal was your job. You may not even have supported Arsenal. You may have just been a player at Arsenal, right? So I was like, what I'd love to hear from is the actual fans, because they are Arsenal fans. They are people that live and breathe this club. They travel all around the country, following their club. So I want to hear from those fans. And I just used to feel that you never, ever, ever heard from the real fans of football clubs. So that was what gave me the idea to start AFTV. And I'm pleased that now, you know what I mean, you get to hear so many fan opinions, not just on our platform, but on many other platforms as well. You know what I mean? Whether it be different creators or different people who've created sites where fans can have a chance to have their say. And there's been a complete revolution in how, you know, we get to hear the differing opinions. And listen, I don't agree with every opinion I heard.
Yeah.
There was an opinion I heard after yesterday's game that I thought was absolutely nuts about the
Yeah.
manager. But you've got to allow people to have their opinions, because not
Yeah.
everybody's opinion's the same as yours.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what's so amazing, because we'll have our own opinion, but when we watch other people's, you kind of you don't see it that way, but you kind of understand where they're coming from. And I
Yeah.
think that's the beauty of football, and I think it's amazing. Like now you see so many content creators, and I'd love to know, like for me, when I started YouTube, I obviously told my family about it, but I did get embarrassed talking about it, because it's, for me, like I think doing YouTube's like an escape. It's like, it's great to have these connections with other people. And I'd love you to tell me, like, how did your family react when you started doing it? Because I know YouTube back then wasn't as popular as what it was now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think because it was as a popular, they, you know, it wasn't such a big issue, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
obviously, it's great. It's a great platform. You get to reach so many people, you know, not just in the UK, all around the
Yeah.
world. And with it comes great things, you know what I mean? Because you become very popular very quickly. But
Yeah.
there's also a lot of pitfalls to that as well. You know what I mean? You've got to be able to handle sometimes some of the, because you may have a different opinion to somebody, and it's almost like some people take it personal. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it should be used as a platform to be able to discuss football, and I'm a person, I like to have fun around football, but
Yeah.
some people sometimes cross the line on it. But I think YouTube is a great platform, and all the other social media platforms, when they're used in the right way.
Yeah, definitely. I think YouTube's definitely, I think it's an amazing way you can connect with fans. And I mean, I think, like I said, there's so many content creators out there now, and I think it's amazing to see other people doing their own type of thing. So I really love that. I mean, for you, like when you first started doing YouTube, did you ever think it would have been what it is today? Did you ever see it as it being successful?
Listen, I always
Mm.
was dreaming of it being successful for me, and I was always dreaming that
Yeah.
I could have a big platform. But if you used to ask me if I thought it'd be as big as what it is now, I'd have to be honest and say no. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
thought I could, grow a good platform, but to have millions of followers across all our platforms, over 5 million followers across all the platforms is insane to me. I
Yeah.
mean, to do some of the cool. I mean, I've been to many different countries around the world. With this, I've spoken on so many cool events, done so many cool things with players, ex-players. I mean, it's nuts. You know what I mean? You don't realize sometimes the journey that something's
Yeah.
going to take you on, and that's why sometimes when you start something, never limit yourself, because
Mhm.
you really don't know how far it can take you. And I've seen many other
Mhm.
content creators as well grow, you know what I mean? And I remember them from when they were just starting out and thinking to myself, oh, they're really good, you know what I mean? They got something about them.
Yeah.
And then they've become massive, you know what I mean? So for that, it's a great platform because it really does open you up into a huge audience, not just here in the UK, but
Mm.
all around the world. And, for me, like I was at the game at the weekend, I've got fans coming up to me from Australia, all over Africa, and all that, saying, "Oh, I watch your content all the time. I love it." I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
That's yeah.
you
It's
wasn't
really,
expecting that.
yeah. It's amazing. I'm pretty like someone messaged me the other day. I think they might have been from India, and they watched my stuff. I think, isn't it just like I can't process the fact that they're in a
Yeah,
different country, they're a different world to me, and they still watch what I do. It's quite like crazy to think about. I think it's
yeah.
amazing to see that with YouTube as well. How far it has come. I mean, you mentioned before you have done a lot of stuff, you've had a lot of opportunities as well. But for you, what do you think your proudest moment has been since you've done YouTube? It could be on Aftv, or it could have been something that you've done, like an opportunity.
Do you know what? There's so many. I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Like, there's so many. I can't pinpoint one thing. There's
Yeah.
just been so many. I mean, I'm very proud of the fact that, like, now, I employ
Mm.
about 23 people. I've got like 3 studios. Um, I'm really proud of that. I'm
Mm.
really proud of that for something that just started off with like essentially 2 people, me and my camera guy, just going around interviewing fans, to see where the growth, and to
Yeah.
be able to employ people where they're able to make a living. And yeah, I think that's got to be my
Yeah.
proudest moment, because I'm very proud of that. You know what I mean? You feel very responsible for them. You've got to work harder to make
Yeah.
sure that everything stays afloat. But it's incredible. It's incredible. That and I, again, you start off something like really small, and then when you see it grow into something like that, that I am very proud of.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's amazing because I suppose, like you said before, you never expect it to be this popular. And I know before you used to take your own equipment and it was you that wanted to do that. And obviously now technology has changed and improvements there as well. And I think it's amazing what you've done as well. I mean, you know, before you started YouTube, people probably wouldn't have known you. And now everyone, probably, a lot of people know you.
It's
How
mad.
does it feel like when people recognize you? Because I suppose if you're going to a game and a lot of people know you, it might get overwhelming, but it might also feel quite, you know, amazing that people like watch your content and stuff. So how does that feel when people kind of know who you are?
Yeah, I mean that's been, you know, it's crazy. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
just a football either. I mean, like I can just be walking down the street, I can just be going into a supermarket, I can just go anywhere, and like I get recognised by everybody. It's crazy,
Yeah.
and but I was. It's funny. I was in the supermarket the other day, and this guy goes to me, "What are you doing in there? I thought you'd have someone to do your
Doing it
shopping
for
for
you.
you." I was like, "Pardon?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No." Listen, I go. I like to keep everything just like how I like the fact that I can still do
Yeah.
all the things I used to do before, but it is crazy. Like, you know, like anywhere I go, people recognize me. Um, I go abroad. You think to yourself, all right, well, when I go
Yeah, you
abroad,
get
they're
away
not going
from
to really know
it.
me. I
Yeah.
go to America, wherever. It's just like being in the UK. It's crazy. So
Hmm.
it's nice. You know what I mean? It's nice that so many people know me, so many people interact. You
Yeah.
know, it's a nice thing. It's a good thing. You know what I mean? And I love interacting with people, so I
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's nice as well that I remember go. I don't go to Arsenal much because I live a few hours away, but I remember going and someone recognized me on Twitter, and I was like, I didn't even know who they were at first, but I was so confused. Like, it's kind of weird, you know, if people recognize you. I find it a bit crazy, you know.
It's
It's a nice
I'll have
feeling, but
people.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I'll have people like I'll be walking sometimes. I'm just like maybe just talking to on my phone,
Yeah.
and somebody hasn't even seen me. They just recognise my voice. That's the one I found crazy, and they turn around,
That,
"Is
yeah,
that
that's
you, Robbie?
weird.
Is that you, Robbie?" Like, you know what I mean? I've walked past people before in the street, and then they've stopped me and said, "Hey, look!" And they showed me their phone, and they're actually watching a video with me in it. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You know what I mean? So, but you know, you got to give thanks for those things. You know what I mean? That you know, so many people appreciate the stuff we do.
Yeah, I think you've got to take it as a compliment. It's nice that
Yeah,
people take the time out of the day to watch your stuff through. I think it's nice. I mean,
of course.
I've seen the odd time when I've come out of a game, like the big crowds you get. I mean, it must be quite, you know, when you interview so many people, and there's so many people there. Do you take that as a compliment that people want to come on, or do you find it a bit overwhelming that there's so many people like around you?
No, it's a compliment because
Yeah,
listen, again, I go back to the early days of AFTV when nobody knows who you are and you're having to
yeah,
walk around the stadium trying to find people to come on. So
yeah.
you're
That
walking
must
around
have
and you
been
say,
tough, actually. Yeah.
yeah, and, you're walking up to people and say, yeah, do you want to have a say on this new platform we got? And they're like, get lost. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
go away.
but we always did find people to come on. You know what I mean? We persevered and we found people.
Hmm.
So it's amazing now to see that like you come out and there's like crowds of people waiting. It's you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so many.
We come a long way. We come a long way from where when we started. And that's what I always say to people. Once again, as I said, like when you start something and you start small, don't worry about that. I mean, you're on a journey. You're on a
Yeah.
journey, and you don't know. Like in a year, 2 years time, it's not going to be the same size as it is when you started if you put the work in. So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what we found.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you just don't know what's around the corner or what
No,
kind of opportunities people might give you. I mean, I think when you make a channel, you don't really have anything to lose. It's only a positive thing, you know. I kind of started just because like my family actually support Liverpool and I wanted like just to rant, and it's a great way to connect. So I see it as that. But for you, like if you could give any advice to people that might be having a YouTube channel, maybe they're not growing as much as they want, or maybe they want to start a channel, what kind of advice would you give to them?
I think persevere. with what you're doing. Work hard. Try and come up with original content ideas. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Don't just always copy people. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people
Mm.
who just like literally will see someone do something and just copy it straight back. And listen, there's a lot of
I've
we're
noticed
in
that a lot. Yeah.
yeah, especially when you're in football. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff you're going to do where it's going to be similar to other people, but try and think out the box. Try and think,
Hmm.
how can I do this bit of content and make it a little bit different to everybody else's? And then, try and find your own style. Try and find your own way of doing things. Try and let your personality come through. And then when you're doing it now, be consistent in doing it. You can't do a video today and then say, oh, I can't be asked to do one until another month, because people just be like, if you're gonna do content once a month, then do it once a month. If you're gonna do it once a week, then once a week. If it's once a day, you know what I mean. But be consistent in what you do, because if people are following you, they want to see a consistent pattern of your content. So, be consistent. Try and have your own style, your own way of doing things, and also, which is a big one, I think, is especially at first, don't watch the numbers.
Yeah,
Don't
people can
over.
get obsessed, can't they, with
There's
that?
people. There's people who like look at some of the numbers, for instance, that we get on Aftv, and they're like, well, how comes I haven't got that after doing a video for doing videos for
Mm.
about a month? I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to grow. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When we first started doing Aftv, I mean, I remember I'd be celebrating when we had 100 views.
Yeah. It is a lot though.
And
Yeah.
I'd be like, 100 views is a lot of people. You know what I mean? If the building that I'm in at the moment, there's not 100 people in it,
Yeah.
and there'd be people like doing a video and they got 100 views, 200 views, and they'd be like, oh man, I only got 100, I only got 200. That's a lot of people. You're speaking to a lot of people. If you do what you're doing well and you speak to them well and they enjoy your content, they're going to share it with others. Right? That's what happens when you're. That's why they call it social media, because people are sharing it. Right? So that 200, if you give good, consistent content to that 200 over a period of time, that's going to turn into 400. It's going to turn into 4,000. It's going to turn into 40,000 and beyond. But
Yeah.
you can't just turn on, your camera and expect
Yeah,
to
exactly.
get huge numbers like that. You can't look at KSI and say, right, I'm gonna match his numbers. He's been
Yeah.
doing YouTube for about nearly 15 years. So,
Yeah.
people, I do feel that there's too many people that come on and they're watching the numbers too much. And I never did that. But my thing was all about, I want to make good content that people are going to enjoy, that people are going to find engaging, and the numbers will take care of itself. If you're making
Yeah.
something good and you're making it consistently, people are going to start watching. If you're making rubbish, no one's going to watch. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think you've got to put something out that you probably might want to watch yourself, or I think the quality as well of videos, it's got to be good. I think consistent is so important because,
Yeah.
like you said, if you do a video once every so often, people probably want to see more of you and they're not able to. So I think that's a problem as well.
Yeah.
And
If there's no, and if there's, you've got to work it around your schedule. If there's no,
mm,
but I'm more on about a pattern. So if you said to your
mm,
followers, all right, listen, I'm releasing a video once a month, they know that you're releasing a video once a month,
yeah,
then do it. If it's once a week, but if just like you do a video today and then you maybe do a video next week and then you don't do nothing for another 3 weeks or
yeah,
6, then people are just like,
mm.
there's lots of competition on this platform. So I mean, let's go elsewhere.
Yeah, you know what? There's so many YouTubers. I think Arsenal YouTubers, there's so many. I think we're quite popular as well. I
Oh,
mean,
loads.
yeah, I think it's so important to be yourself and try and think of your own ideas because I think now, I mean, a lot of people do previews, reviews. I do them, but I think otherwise of that, it's good to do other things as well. I think the numbers. I think like you said, 100 views. It's like 100 people sitting in a room is a lot of people. It's
Yeah.
like I see it as that. I think it is quite, a lot of people, and it's obviously nice when people watch your content. I mean, I personally think if a lot of people watch your stuff, it's a really nice. I think people can get, addicted to that feeling. I think sometimes it can be overwhelming when, you get a lot of that. But I think, like you said, I think there's reasons to do YouTube. I think it's not all about kind of views. I think, you know, you do inspire people, and I think that's a really nice feeling to be able to have impacted on someone's life as well. I think there's so many amazing reasons, but I'd completely echo what you say. I think with making your own channel, before I made mine, I'd watched a lot of YouTube, and I knew the hate of it, the kind of the bad side of it was something that you do have to prepare yourself for.
Definitely.
I don't think you can ever prepare yourself for it, because
Yeah.
before I did it, I'd watched a lot of your videos and I saw the comments. People were so brutal, and I thought, how would I deal with that if it was me? And when you're in that position, it's so tough. I think as time goes on, you do learn to have a thicker skin, because I'll be honest, I think when I first started, I was quite sensitive, and it did really affect me.
Yeah.
But I think the more you see it, you kind of just laugh it off. But I know you've had it really hard. I mean, I think you're so like strong to deal with it all.
I'm the poster boy for it. You know, I mean, I've had so
Yeah.
many. And you know what you just said there is so
Yeah.
true. That like, it was the same for me as well when I first started doing the channel, and you see some really bad comments and people really having a go at you and accusing you of all kind of things that are not true, telling lies about you, which I still get even to this day. Those things, you really do get angry about it. But over a period of time, I started to learn that, you know what? Think about the comments you're getting, right? So I always look on it like this. If I've got 100 comments on a video and there's 5 people, right, that are coming on and absolutely slagging me off,
Yeah.
why am I worried about those 5 people when 95 of the other people either came with positive comments or were saying good things? If I'm focused on 5, then there's something wrong. If I've got a video and 95 out of the 100 are slagging me off and saying this is terrible, then I need to think about what I'm doing. Right? I need to seriously think about it and say, well,
Yeah.
they might have a point there. There's something I've done wrong. So that's how you have to view it.
Yeah.
Sometimes as well, you know what I mean? You see like certain comments, you just skip past it. There are filters and things like that as well that you can put on to cut out certain things. And you know, unfortunately, as a black person as well, sometimes some of these comments are racist.
Yeah, that's
So
hard.
you know, but I've learned over the period of time to because you get some people who literally they're trying to literally draw you into commenting back and starting.
It's so tough not to though. It's so
Yeah,
hard.
and I'll tell you one thing: if you ignore them, that's the best thing you can do. Sometimes you just ignore them, so you've not given them any oxygen for what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? Which is basically they're keyboard warriors sometimes. You know what I mean? And sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes some comments that are negative are people that feel they've not enjoyed what you've said, and that is fair enough. I ain't perfect. Nobody's perfect. But when comments are abusive, when comments are threatening, when comments are like deliberately trying to put you down, I think those ones are wrong. You know what I mean? So, but I've learned over the years. I've had to learn how to deal with that, because
you've got to.
I was looking at some comments this morning on a video that I was in yesterday, and there was some people slagging me off in that one. But I don't really care. I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm loving what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Do you know, if you do a video and you're thinking to yourself, I'm not 100% sure on this, and you upload it and people say negative stuff, it does make you feel worse about the video. I think it is hard. I think, like I said before, nothing can prepare you to go through it. I think it is hard. I mean, I know with you've had not only trolls, but you've had, you know, the media as well, ex-Arsenal players. I mean, I always agree with what you say about everyone's entitled to their opinion, because I have had arguments with people online about Aftv, and I always say, if you don't like it, you don't need to watch it. And I always say, you know, if you don't like something, you're not going to watch it, are you? Like, if I don't like a TV program, I'm not going to go online about it and say how bad it is. So for you, with sort of the media, ex-players, like, how do you go through that? Because I suppose it might be a shock when they publicly say it, and they have their own sort of audience as well.
Yeah, listen, you just have to deal with it. You know what I mean? I mean, as you said, you know what I mean? If you don't like it, don't watch. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know, I'm not threatening anybody and saying if you don't watch it, you're going to get it or something like that. You know, it's up to you if you want to watch it or not. You know what I mean? And, you know, I've had people slag me off. It's funny because you see people that have like criticized you in the past, then start a YouTube channel, or then, you know, this YouTube stuff that you're doing and that is social media, it's absolutely garbage, and then they go and start one. Or, you know, oh, these guys are interviewing fans outside the games, and the next minute you see them outside the stadium interviewing fans. You know what I mean? So honestly, I've learned how to deal with it. I will defend my platform, you know, and that's how I approach it. And I have, you know, listen, you can't beg somebody to like what you're doing. You know what I mean? We don't like, you know, we're human beings. We don't like everything. You know what I mean? There's programs on TV that I don't really enjoy. Doesn't say they're not good.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're not good. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of, I don't know, say Love Island. It's not a program that I watch.
Yeah.
I've watched it occasionally, but it's not, you know, I mean, I don't get in every day to watch Love Island, but my daughter does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, maybe I may not be the biggest fan of Love Island, but listen, they're doing something very, very good because they've got a huge audience.
Yeah.
So I respect Love Island. I respect it. So that's how you should approach things. But you got some people that, because they don't love something, they want to slag it off. They want to this, they want to that. It's rubbish. Well, if that's what you feel, all you got to do is you don't watch, and you move on to, you know. But that's how I approach it. You know what I mean? And you know, not everybody's going to like you. You also got to realize that not everybody's going to like your content. Not everybody's going to enjoy you. They might not like, you know, somebody might like you presenting. They may not like me presenting. That's the way it is.
Yeah, I think obviously we do all like different things, and that is just life, you know. There'll be things we both like and don't like, but it's hard, really. I think social media has gotten a lot worse as the years have gone on. I do think with YouTube, I think if you're not thick-skinned, I don't think you can really manage this world. I think no, you can't. I think it's just
you're right. You're right.
I think it's something that I've learned to do because it is hard, you know. There will be days where people say things and you do need time to have a break from it. I mean, I've had times where there were people that I thought I trusted, and then they would go on and say bad things, like nasty things about me, and I just think a lot of that. I find that worse than the actual trolling, because you don't expect it. Like with the trolls, you expect it, don't you? Like it's a bit different when it's people you know.
You know what? You're spot on there. I've had that as well. You know what I mean? I think, you know, and like you said, you know, you got to be pretty thick-skinned. I think, listen, people need to understand that if you are going to do a platform on YouTube or any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, where, you know, people can make instant comments on it, you are going to sometimes get some very negative comments, and you have to be able to take that. And you know, everybody's different. I mean, I've got a very thick skin and I can take it. You know what I mean? I guess there's other people who can't. I remember one time going to a YouTube conference, and it was addressing this very issue of you know, abuse online, and you know, people that get you know, and I was like, I don't think nobody in this room is going to have it as bad as me, because I'm dealing with football and there's so many different fan opinions. And sometimes if you don't agree with someone's opinion, they start, you know, they're straight in slagging you off and stuff like that. And then in that room, there was, when we was having that discussion about it, there was like some girls, for instance, that did fashion on YouTube. Yeah. And there was another girl that did like, she had a channel where she did all makeup and stuff like that. And some of the abuse that they got, I was like, oh my God. I was going, I didn't think they'd get. And, you know, basically they were saying that, you know, when they started doing the channel, it was all good. Everyone was showing them a lot of love. But then as the channel gets bigger now, there's a lot of jealousy that comes into it, and people are there saying, "Oh, how comes you get all these clothes sent to you? You're no better than us." And then you got, why, you look terrible in the makeup, and you're ugly, and I was like, yeah, it's not just in football where these things happen. So you do have to have a fairly thick skin. You have to be able to look and take comments as they are. Sometimes they're just words. You know what I mean? They're words. Move on to you start reading a comment that you don't like, just don't even finish reading it. Move on to something else if it's going to affect you. Do not make these things affect you, because there are some trolls out there who are trying to affect you. Be careful of the people you move with and the friends you keep, because you've got some people who get very jealous when you start to get successful and the most important thing is this, right? When you're doing something and you're doing it well and you believe in what you're doing, do not make these trolls and these people that come slag you off derail you from doing what you're doing. Do not let them. You're doing something well. You're making content that your audience enjoys. Do not make one or two people, because they come and slag you off, make you think to yourself, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to stop doing this because I can't handle it." No, don't, because then they've won. They're bullies. They're basically, people are trying to bully you, and never let bullies win. So what you do, you take measures. So, maybe you ban them from a channel. You put in certain keywords that if they're using that, you won't see the comments. But do not let these people derail you from, because there's a lot of people that could be really successful that have been then put off by trolls. And they're sad to see, you know what I mean? Because, let that troll sit in their house, bored, with nothing to do, sending their messages. But don't let that stop you from doing what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's good, if it is affecting you, to have a little bit of a break and not give up completely. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Having
take a time out of it.
Yeah, even if it's a few days, a week, however long it is, I think you've got to use it as motivation, because they're obviously trying to get a reaction out of you. They're trying to, bring you down, because I think, if they're not jealous, then you're kind of not doing anything right. I think if you're doing good stuff, people will, come at you. So I think like you said, not giving up, having a break if you need it, because there will be times where you do need a bit of a time off from YouTube, because it can get overwhelming. I mean, I know you've had a lot of experiences with that, and I suppose you might have needed a bit of a break from it, really, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of experiences that I've needed a break, but I ain't been able to take one.
Yeah, you've been too busy. Yeah.
But I do fully understand what you're saying, because sometimes you're right. Take a little break from it. You know what I mean? Take a little time out. Just don't stop doing what you're doing because some troll is trying to, that's what they want, because it's basically a form of bullying. Do not stop. But like you said, if it's getting to you, you are so right. Take a bit of time out, have a little think, talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Even talk to somebody who's got a platform, an existing platform, might be able to help you. But don't give up. Don't give up, because it's the bullies. People use this word troll, but sometimes you've got some people who just don't like what you do, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But you've got some other people that basically they're bullying, and their aim is to do exactly that, to stop you. When you switch your channel off and you never do it again, they've won. Don't do
exactly. Yeah, you've got to just ignore it. I mean, I think if you read comments too much, I think it can affect you. I mean, like you said, you could get so many nice comments on, a video or a post, and you read that one comment and it does stick in your head. It is weird how that happens, but I think you do have to focus on the positivity. And like you say, if the majority of it is positive, that's good. Do you know what? I don't
have an attitude. Have an attitude that you're not expecting everybody to like you.
Yeah,
don't go into this thinking that everybody's gonna love Robbie. because that ain't going to happen. You know what I mean? So if if you see one or two negative comments about it, so what? You know what I mean? So if you're going into it thinking that I want to love from every single comment, it ain't going to happen. It doesn't work that way. So but I think you're giving good advice, like, take a bit of time out, you know what I mean? Try and skip certain negative comments. And if it's really getting on your case, like you said, don't even read it.
Yeah, do you know what? There was a time where something did really get to me, and I didn't want to have a break because I thought that they would be getting to me if I took a break, but it's actually not the case. I think it would be getting to you if you actually quit the whole thing. So I think, like we said, I think if you're in that situation, I think definitely having a break or spending time with family, because, for me, I love doing YouTube, love football, but sometimes it's nice to just switch off from it and just do something else.
Yeah, and like you said, talk to people. And as I said, remember these people for what they are. They're bullies. When somebody's constantly trolling you online, that is a form of bullying, right? And if it was somebody on the road and they were bullying you like that, you're not going to let someone bully you like that, right?
Exactly.
You don't do it. But there's easy things you can do online. Sometimes you can just ban that person from your channel. You can mute them. They don't even know they've been banned. You just mute them.
Yeah, muting is brilliant to do that. I mean, especially on Twitter.
They're still typing away. Right, and nothing's coming through. So, I mean, there's ways in which to deal with it. But listen, it is unfortunately a part of because social media, anyone can leave a comment. And unfortunately, there are some idiots out there. Most people are absolutely fine. Most people are absolutely cool. Even when they don't agree with what you're saying, even when they don't agree with what, they'll put it in a respectful way. That's fine. But when people are trying to literally bully you and tell you, certain things and insult you and stuff like that, you don't have to tolerate that on the road. And you don't have to tolerate that online.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, if someone gives me constructive criticism, that does not bother me.
Brilliant.
I remember a few years ago, I had a bad microphone, let's say, and someone was like, "I love this video. It was amazing, but maybe if you could improve, do this." And I think that's nice because you can always improve, can't you? And I think that criticism is acceptable because it's not abuse. So I think that's good.
Constructive criticism is some of the best criticism you can ever get.
Yeah.
Because, it can help you to be better. And sometimes, listen, some criticism maybe is a bit unfounded, but it gets you thinking. And we get a lot of constructive criticism sometimes, and I'm always grateful for it. Because we're not perfect. We are far from perfect. So anything that criticism that will help me to improve what I'm doing, I'm all for it. But it's when people are coming and insulting you.
That's different,
and, it's not constructive. It's just literally to come and troll and insult you and bully you. It's not happening. It's not going to work. I know one thing, it don't work with me. They may as well talk to themselves.
I think abuse is different, whether it's, racism, sexism, because I've had it as well. I mean, I think, some things are good to call out, but I think, people do get jealous, unfortunately, as it is part of, being on social media. I think you've just got to accept that and definitely echo what you said about the positivity.
The bigger you get, it don't go, the bigger
you
get. Unfortunately, that gets worse. I speak to people that, not even social media, people who work on TV, footballers. You see it with footballers, isn't it? They miss a chance or something. All of a sudden, people are trolling them, trying to. So, but don't let it stop you.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to use it as motivation. I think that's the 100%. Most important thing, because that's what I've done. Whenever people, whether it's some hate has actually been personal, others is just, just people being nasty. But I think, definitely using that as motivation. I know with you, I've obviously watched Arsenal Fan TV, not when it first started, but I think when a few of the videos blew up, you had, people on there, a lot of people didn't really like. I mean, I've always respected people you've had on. Like you said, you won't always agree with what they've had to say. But do you think the hate or criticism towards AFTV is being more towards them and what they've said? Or do you think it's maybe for you having them on? Or how do you think the hate has been towards them a bit more? Or do you think you've had it hard as well?
Yeah. Listen, sometimes the hate has been towards individuals that have come on. But listen, it's my platform, right?
Yeah.
So the way I look at life, I take responsibility for everything I do,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not going to then start blaming it onto other people and saying, oh, because that, because people hate that guy, now they're having a go at me. I mean, it's a platform where we allow fans to come on and have their say, and and I'm going to continue that. And I was the one who that was my idea to do it that way. So if people are going to say, if you didn't have this person, they wouldn't listen. I decided to have that person on, so I take responsibility for that. And when I feel that when you go through life and you're accountable and you take responsibility for things will always progress, and you make mistakes along the way. And you learn from that's the other thing. But making a mistake is all about learning. It's all about how do you learn from that so that you don't make that mistake again. So I'm accountable. I don't hide behind, oh, they're only having a go at that person, or they're only having a go at that. It's my platform. It's my platform.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really like a lot of people you've had on, to be fair. I mean, I really like Claude when he came on. I think,
Yeah.
you know what? I never really agreed with a lot of things he said because, for me, Arsene Wenger was my hero. But I did, give him criticism as well. But I felt like, you could really see who he was as a person. I think
he was a great guy.
He was very genuine, I thought, and I think
was.
it's amazing. Yeah, I think he was a very special person, and it's nice to see, older fans than me that have been to games for a lot longer than me and experienced that. And yeah, I quite like Troops as well, because I think sometimes he was understood, because I remember watching your interview at Baku and he was almost crying, and you could see
He
you
was
might
crying.
shout. Yeah, you might shout sometimes, but he does love Arsenal. And I think, I do think you've had a lot of amazing, guests on or regulars. I really loved your lockdown videos. I think I loved how you did the watch-alongs together. That did make me laugh. I think it was just great to see the reactions because I found it so natural. It was just like how I would watch Arsenal at home. It was just amazing to watch.
Yeah, no, listen, lockdown was a very testing time, and there's a lot of people that come up to me and say, lockdown, your videos helped us to get through that period, which is always really flattering to hear, So I had to really think out of the box and come up with different ways of doing stuff because obviously we couldn't go to games, and I think we did it really successfully. As I said, we're not perfect, but I'm proud of what we've done on the platform. There's been some great people that have come onto this channel. Some have gone on to do their own stuff, and they've done really well with it. And we're growing every day. We're growing every single day. We're progressing every single day. And I think it's an example to everybody that when you're doing your stuff, as I said, don't let people put you off and derail you on your journey. It's your journey. It's not my journey. It's yours. And you shouldn't let somebody derail you off of that. You can learn from mistakes. You can learn from people, but don't let people derail you.
Yeah, you've got to kind of switch off from the negativity. It does happen. It will happen when you get bigger, definitely. I mean, I think for you, I think AFTV just it went dead popular. I remember. I mean, I watched a few of your videos when you first started, and you had a few thousand, and then it just exploded. It went absolutely crazy and viral, which I think's such an amazing thing. And I definitely agree with what you said before. Definitely about numbers, just to enjoy who you're talking to and not just enjoy that moment and have a laugh when you're doing podcasts. I think it's so
Deal with
important.
numbers later.
Yeah, I think numbers, it is nice, when people watch your stuff, but I think, you do have to, focus about that at the end. I mean, I know with you, you've obviously interviewed some incredible people. But for you, if you had someone that you could interview, like a dream interview, like for next, who would you love to speak to?
Ooh. Oh, I'd love to, like, if you say a current player, I'd love to interview Declan Rice.
Yeah.
I really like Rice. You know what I mean? I'd love to have like a proper interview, not like a player's interview where they
Yeah.
put him on stage, but like a proper
Just like a
interview.
natural, nice chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he just seems like a really interesting guy. He seems like he'd be a really cool person to interview. So I met him the other day, and he's a really nice guy. You know what I mean? And I thought he was really, really cool. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I would. I think I would really like to. I'd really like to interview Declan Rice.
Yeah, he seems dead, just genuine and down to earth, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does, and he is. When he met
Yeah.
us, you know what I mean, he had time for everybody. He was such a cool person, great footballer. And yeah, I think I'd love to do something with him.
Yeah, he's just like, I feel like if you could just speak to him all day. He seems like just a nice chatty guy. I mean, as I said, you have interviewed some amazing people, so I'll flip it the other way. Who has been, maybe if you could pick a few or one of your favorite people you've interviewed, whether that's ex-players or just fans, like who would you
Yeah.
choose?
Thierry Henry was brilliant interview.
I'd be starstruck.
Yeah, I was
How did you
starstruck.
compose yourself? I'd be like this.
Ian Wright was great. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Those two I was starstruck on when I first met them because, as I said, they were both heroes.
Yeah.
Gosh, I've done so many interviews, man. I did a really interesting one a couple of months ago with Keir Starmer, who could possibly be the next Prime Minister of the country.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
he's a
really. That surprised me.
huge Arsenal fan. Yeah, that was really
Yeah.
interesting because I wasn't expected to be asked to interview him, and that was great. I've done so many, like, I just love interviewing fans as well. I love interviewing
Yeah.
just like fans and just getting their opinions.
Yeah, it is amazing. I love the interview you did with Alex Scott. I think it was when she brought out
Yeah,
a book. I
when
thought
she
that
did her
was.
book, yeah, she was
Yeah,
brilliant.
I love that one. That was.
Yeah,
It
she's
just felt
great.
quite natural, and she just seemed
Yeah,
quite down to earth.
she's a brilliant person. She's a lovely lady. She is, really is. And again, and someone who's always had time for me over the years. You know what I mean? So yeah, I really like Alex Scott.
Yeah, she is so nice. I think it's the beauty of doing YouTube. It's nice to speak to just normal day-to-day fans
Yeah.
online or in real, like in person. But it's also nice to just interview people you probably wouldn't have thought you would ever speak to. It's such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I saw when you did was it Laura Woods, which
Yeah.
she's a really cool person. I remember Laura from when I first started doing AFTV. She was doing stuff on Sky, but
Yeah.
more Sky on the social team. And she's a big Arsenal fan, and we connected, and we chat, and she's a great person, and she hasn't changed one bit. What I really rate about her is that she's as down to earth now as she was then, and that was before she'd made it as big as she is, and she deserves everything that's come her way because she's worked really hard. She has. I don't think people see that side of her. They just see she's a very good personality. Obviously, she's always got a smile on her face and that, but behind that, a really hard-working person who's really worked hard to get as far as she has, and she's deserved it. And there's a lot of people like that in this space that people just see that now, and they say, "Oh yeah,
Then they've come big." Yeah,
and they feel like they just got big overnight. And I can tell you, they've put the graft in, they put the hours in, they've really worked hard to achieve what they've achieved, and she's one of them, definitely.
Yeah, she was so lovely because when I first spoke to her, like I asked her if I could do a video, and she actually offered to come down to talk sport, and I was like, she didn't have to do
Wow.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I
That's what she's
thought,
like. She's cool.
yeah, I thought, you know what, she doesn't have to do that, but she wants to because she's
Mm.
just such an amazing person. And I totally
Yeah.
agree with what you say. I think even as she's gotten bigger, people, some people might, get a bit, have a bit of an ego or maybe turn it a bit
Mm.
different, but she hasn't ever changed. She's always
Yeah,
been
no.
really kind. And
Yeah, she's a great person, man. Like, I'm really pleased to see how well she's done. And, obviously, she's not probably as accessible as she once was
yeah,
because, she's so big now. She's so popular,
yeah.
but she's the same person as I knew when, like, I mean, when she first started. She hasn't changed. So that's a good on her for that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so important to always stay humble, like no matter how
Yeah.
big you are. I think that's the most important thing because in life,
Mhm.
you will like, good things will happen, but I always say never get carried away, just enjoy the moment. And I
Yeah,
think being humble
100%.
is so important. And
Yeah.
Robbie, it's been a real honour to, interview you today. I've really enjoyed this.
Thank
As I
you.
said at the start, you're a big inspiration to me. So I really can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me, really. Thank you so much for coming on today.
No, thank you for having me on. I mean, and I wish you all the success with your channel. I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. I mean? And yeah, well done to you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I hope you all that do watch this back do enjoy it. And do forget to hit the like button for me. Do subscribe as well. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.